And hello and welcome. Happy New Year. This first episode of Just Saying for 2026 marks the official start of the Rocket League New Year and the official end of the fattening. So happy New Year. Bromeo, we'll start with you. How well did you survive the festive season?
Well, unlike most, I actually worked through most of New Year's, so I survived mainly by the fact that I didn't get up too much, but that comes with its own set of caveats because I had a whole bunch of time, I had a whole bunch of chill, so it was pretty much the same. I got really fat over December, so we're gonna work on that. That's somewhere along the line.
And then Pyro, I don't know. I don't know. It seems to me, from an outsider, that the Americans go a little larger on Thanksgiving than they do on Christmas in terms of eating and general debauchery, or is it both? And how well did you survive it?
Oh,
I can't hear Pyro.
I can't hear Pyro either.
I'm muted once again. That is completely
Of course, why not?
Yeah, second time today, guys. So we'll see how today goes. It's not even 5 minutes into the show. So yes, if there's an annual fattening in our country, it is absolutely Thanksgiving. But Christmas and New Year's, I'd say New Year, Thanksgiving is for the food, New Year's is for the drinks. If I'm gonna be honest. However, for me, you guys know I love Twitch streaming, so I did like a New Year's bash. We did a full 2025 recap. We gave out superlatives. We did a 50-question Kahoot quiz. And then on the ball drop, I made a brand new marbles map where at midnight we dropped everyone's marble. It saw who won, and there was a big explosion. It was a blast. I had a great time with my Twitch community. But yeah. Now it's the new year, and I feel like we had a little bit of time to kind of, forget about Rocket League a little bit. It's a holidays. We had this huge breath between opens. Now it's time to dig in again. Now it's time to drive our heels into the ground, hit the brakes, and say, hold on, back to the pitch.
We are coming down to reality, and we're going to bring that reality home to everyone in tonight's episode of Just Saying. How's it to everybody that's in chat? Rumble Truck is here. Hello, and thank you for the sub. That's fabulous. Yuckles, Tanya. I love the fact Tanya, who is Evident Cable's mom, has renamed her Twitch account to Tanya I Love Rocket League. Which is fabulous. And of course, Stones from Chrome, and Vinko Chaos is here. Yuckles, I think I said. AJ and Berserker. How's it, guys? So the basic run of the show tonight is we're going to do a bit of a recap of the last Rocket League in anger for 2025, which was the FIFE Rocket League World Cup. Then we're going to look forward to the calendar for 2026. It is Jan. So we'll sort of do a little preview of everything that we can expect to be happening in Rocket League in 2026. And then we're going to get down to the business. Open 2 starts in 5 days. There has been such a long break. It's almost felt like an off season between Open 1 and Open 2. But then it accelerates. There is no break between Open 2 and Open 3. Then it's going to be wall-to-wall Rocket League. So, gents, let's get into it. I know we, Bromeo, you were with me on FIFE, and we obviously had our conversations. We're going to talk some more about it. But, Pyro, your overall take on FIFE broadly, the entire tournament, but then specifically South Africa's showing?
I think broadly it's an important tournament. People love the opportunity to have national pride for their team when it comes to esports. We have it in traditional sports. We don't have it as like a set thing that everyone knows about in esports. I hear you talk about it all the time, Graybeard. Hello, this is like the esport Olympics. How are we not getting everyone glued to their television watching our team? We have a great team here in South Africa. We are going to be one of the best, if not rivaling for it now. And it was great to see South Africa's performance, getting some ties there in the group stage. Again, I'm looking forward to hearing more of your insights there. But in a general national sense, it's really exciting. The final 8 was a blast to watch. The finals was crazy. I was kind of, when France did beat the United States, I had to kind of root for them, because I'm like, this insane rivalry between France and Saudi Arabia that has everyone on the edge of their seats, that has everyone, both eyes glued to the television. Like, I need more from this rivalry. I need this to be both sided. So I kind of wanted to see France take it. They did. Exciting tournament. Yeah, but gents, I'm looking forward to hearing more about the journey of South Africa, because I know you guys were more so in tune with like the beginnings of it, the origin, and how they did get there to the Group B performance and so on and so forth. But yeah.
So, well, let's talk format for a second, because I know there was a bit of consternation on Twitter about the format. And I think the consternation on the format is that it is just so different to every other Rocket League tournament that we're used to. But Bromeo, I love the format. I love the whole concept of having winners and draws, that whole league vibe that comes through, because that's how soccer is done. And I think there's a lot to be said with it. And I do think the tournament was better than last year, and this has the potential to be a huge annual event. But your thoughts on the on the event broadly, and then format. Your thoughts on format, Bromeo.
It was difficult for me because last year's was so clouded in disappointment that I was really coming from I have no expectations for this, and we've never had a successful run into this. So for us to see what is a success to us was the important thing for me. And Pyro spoke a little bit about draws. And I think that was the takeaway, is that we can't expect to win the thing. We're nowhere close to that. And we didn't come close to winning it as expected. And we do have a really promising young team. So we did get a couple of good results. That result against Belgium's going to sit with me for a while. Because on day 2, the boys really cranked it up a level, brought some pride into the game.
The Netherlands won.
No.
No, they drew with Netherlands and Germany.
No, they didn't.
Was it Belgium and Netherlands?
It was Belgium.
Belgium and Netherlands, I beg your pardon. Carry on. As you were.
Yes. So the Belgium game was amazing. But honestly, it was such a joy to watch, especially when they started having fun, when they started realizing that the pressure was something they created themselves. And they started to open up a bit in the later tournament. I wish they started a bit sooner. We would have had a couple of more convincing results. We thought we were going to do better against Malaysia. We didn't. So ultimately finishing bottom of our pool, but there was so much potential to do better. And that for me was the takeaway, is that if we continue to be involved in tournaments like this, we 100% should start getting behind the team in more ways than simply showing up on match day, because this is our national team. These are the best 3 players that we can put in front of our nation, and everybody should know about it and support it.
Should be the best 3 teams that you put out there. Just little asterisk there. Yeah.
I mean, that's been spoken about a lot, Sweaty. If you're listening, still sorry about that, man. But yeah, like I totally think that it's an opportunity to really build Rocket League in this country, because we go, support Kansas City Pioneers. Where are they from? Kansas City. Oh well, but it's really easy to support the green and gold, because it's your national team. So I think there is a bit of work that we can do leaning into the next one. And I sincerely hope that there is some stuff that we can take agency of and not rely on our football union to put it together.
Well, the intent is to meet with the football people as early as possible to get things going, and it is a wonderful tool to build Rocket League in South Africa, but also the region. I would like to see a far more competitive regional duke out to who are the African teams that go. Absolutely, Reunion is go. Somehow we got to solve the fact that Reunion is not being represented in this. They have the opportunity to it, so they probably have a worse situation with their football authorities. So I'd like to see more African regions being involved. But it's gonna. We're going through the frustration of bringing this new thing to the very old traditional minds of football associations. But with regard to South Africa in particular, after day one, I was furious. The results were abysmal. We saved ourselves on the second day, and ultimately we did better than last year in that we got one more draw than we did.
Yeah.
But having spoken to a few players, we should not have lost to Malaysia. We should have beat them in round one, and we should have beat them in round two. So we should effectively have come out of this with 2 series wins and 2 draws, which would have been a close to acceptable result. And that's partly, it's not just down to the 3 players. I think the entire infrastructure leading up to it needs to go better and smoothly. The qualifying process and ensuring that our 3 best people go. So that was so much could have been better, but we were there, we were represented, and ultimately we did better than last year. So without taking away from any of that, that is an important thing, and well done to the guys for pulling it out of what could have been we might have finished below Oman if we had not gotten those results, which would have been crazy. All right, well, then let's have a quick look at so there were 2 rounds, and then the top 8 teams of the 16 that were there went to playoffs, and we got the bracket here, and Pyro's already alluded to the USA France game. And I wouldn't mind touching on that with you, Pyro, because it was a very tough result for USA fans. But for me, it was just one of the most clearest examples. If you watch a lot of Rocket League, and particularly if you cast it, as we all do, there in any big series, you can pinpoint a moment when you went, oh shit, that's where it all changed. And for me, it was France USA. Game 6, Neo Tokyo, the USA are 11 seconds away from victory and taking the entire series, going to the grand final. France equalize, and it was all wheels off for the USA from there.
It was, I mean, I can't help but agree. I'm thinking and I'm hearing Graybeard's voice already in my mind. Neo Tokyo, the arena where dreams die. And, we're just watching the American flag burn, right? And I get that. Game 7, I think, was an OT as well. So, it was getting there, right? But I think it came down to being cold. It came down to being icy. Like, how was Zen's heart rate where it was throughout that whole day, just markedly lower than other players? I mean, kudos on the kid for choosing probably the best name in all of esports to, not only be that like punchy short word, but also like resemble it on one of the biggest international stages. It comes down to being cold sometimes, and that's what France brought. I mean, for North America and for America specifically, like, we always get a little bit nervous at these stages because how many LAN finals have I been to for the World Championship where it's like G2 is up there and it's like, oh God, we're up against BDS. Is it going to happen again? Yes, it happened again. We lost. So I think sometimes we do have an issue about just like locking in at that clutch stage. And that may be what happened, but that's not to take away as well from what France did, because Yeah, everyone knows that France is that good, and they didn't just prove it in the semis there, they proved it all the way.
Yeah, that heart rate was wild. It's like, someone check on him. It's like, is the dude still alive there?
Right.
And then, well, okay, so if we go to the quarterfinals, I mean, they were all comprehensive victories for the teams that won in the quarterfinals, except for the England-Brazil game that went to no, even that one was, yeah, that was, that a 4-3 or a 4-1? I'm trying to see on my little screen.
4-3 for England.
It was a 4-3. Yeah, I thought
7.
that was, yeah. And
Yeah, England
unfortunately,
did outstanding in the tournament. Insane that they almost went to semis.
yeah, but they should have taken that, and they'll be disappointed that they didn't make it through. But yeah, good performance for them. And it's weird how you look at things, right? Because if France went out in the quarterfinals, you go, oh man, they're washed. If South Africa made it to the quarterfinals, we'd still be drunk. But yeah, and then Saudi Arabia making quick work of Brazil, 4-1 in the semifinals. We had that epic France-United States 4-3. But then France, a convincing win in the grand final, 4-2 over last year's world champions Saudi Arabia. And honestly, I mean, it was it's crazy to think that they are the world champions when they were 11 seconds away from being knocked out in the semis. It's crazy how things can turn and how sharply they turn. But yeah, and I know all the reunion boys will have been incredibly happy with the France performance, and well done. And really, they are just an amazing team, and fitting so. I mean, they are producing the level of Rocket League that country has produced is crazy. And clearly it's rubbed off. And I think it's got a lot to do with why there are so many reunion guys playing Rocket League. You know,
yeah, that makes sense, actually.
Yeah. And you know what's really dumb, Bromeo, is this is the first time I've even thought about that connection.
I mean, brainwave on screen. That there's actual overflow from possibly the best Rocket League nation there is.
Yeah. No, quite, and I'm thankful for it. I just love the fact that the number of reunion players signing up for RLCS, the number is just growing all the time, and they are. I want to see a sort of majority reunion island team take a regional one day. That would be amazing, and kind of really cool. Yeah, because I think there might be a slight level of complacency among the South African players. You know, we are the best country in the region. But I'd like to see that close, and I would certainly like to see South Africans not taking that for granted and being challenged.
I was actually going to bring that up as a little bit of copium that, yeah, sure, we didn't finish too well at the actual main event, but the fact that we got there, we beat the rest of Africa in getting to that. And then I was thinking, well, we're probably one of the only two countries in Africa with a stable internet connection. So
yes.
That there in itself is, the biggest problem. And so we can't really give ourselves a pat on the back from being the most, technologically developed. But that is a very interesting notion that you mentioned with regards to France, because I'd never actually considered that before. And I think the fact that France has invested so much into their esports infrastructure, the fact that orgs like Carmine Corp had found such deep-rooted success shows that there is a model there for it to work, because France will continue to play Rocket League whether there's other countries involved or not, because I feel like they've got enough infrastructure that they could play, World Series of Vitality Carmine Corp every year and still pack out a stadium.
Oh, listen, I completely agree with that. They could literally have a world championship made up of entirely French players.
Yeah, but that's the thing. And I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from that. The fact that blind hype can sometimes be such a huge motivator for upliftment that, you don't consider it, because that's what they've managed to do. They've managed to create such a degree of hype that you've created tribalism, fanaticism, support, meaning that representing an org is, it's one of the biggest things you can do in the sport. Whereas, in other regions, they rotate players almost on a whim. So I think just the infrastructure that France has developed, and I say France, but I mean the collective of those big orgs and how they promote it in general. There are so many lessons to be learned there. And I feel like places like South Africa, who are such a massive sporting culture, we can do so much by just simply looking at what France has done and then trying to do a little bit of the same. Because even if we only get 10% of the way there, we've already
That'd be huge. Yeah.
to contenders.
Well, I hope maybe someone can go and do a study of it and present their findings, and then we can go and campaign for people to start modeling themselves around that. All right. Well, that was the end of 2025, ending with the FIFE World Cup that will be happening again in 2026. 2025 was a banger year. It was wall to wall. There was so much Rocket League going on, especially in SSA. Every year there is more going on here, and it was the same in 25. And by all accounts, we will see even more in 2026. So I thought we'd have a quick squiz at everything that is to come for 2026. And so I've put together a little calendar of all the big events happening. And so starting in January, where we are right now, of course, first up is going to be the Open number 2 qualifiers this weekend, followed the following weekend by the main event, and then there is no break. Immediately, the next weekend are Open number 3 quals and the main event. And the last main event actually ends on the 1st of February. So it bleeds a little bit into the February calendar. And Pyro, this blows me away, is that moving on to February, what is the Boston Major is in February. That's in like 6 weeks time. We have the majors. Like, how is it that
it's like mid-February as well, which is bizarre. It's hitting the ground and running. I just have a point to make related to all of this, which is that if any pros are listening, clear your January calendars. I swear, if I see a playoff team, a top 8 DQ, and we don't have a full top 8, not because of load shedding, not because some import team felt like not playing, but because y'all weren't available, I will crash out. So clear your January weekend calendars. I just wanted to say that.
And the point is well taken. Not that we're looking at anyone in particular, like, we're not especially singling out Snoozy and Kazudo and but
not until you just mentioned them.
But for example,
just saying.
It was. Listen. Aside from that, Open 1 was fantastic, and it was a mark of what the season can be. So I'm just trying to say I want it to be everything that it can be. Our expectations are high for this season. It's supposed to be the best for good reason. And January is going to be chock full of it.
Pyro, are you going to Boston? Are you going to make it?
I haven't decided.
Okay, so it's still up in the air. All I know about Boston is in February it's fucking cold. So good luck if you go.
Yes, cold, snowy. Boston is absolutely beautiful. I just have not been there in the winter. So bring a coat and another coat and maybe a third.
Bring an extra jersey. All right, then we move on to March. 14th of March, Open number 4 qualifiers begin. The 20th will be the main event. And then on the 28th weekend, so again, no break there once it gets going, is the Open 5 quals. And then into April, first weekend of April, Open 5 main event. And again, no break. So Opens 4, 5, and 6 are literally every single weekend for 6 weeks. From the 14th of March, there is going to be Rocket League. And the main event on the 17th of April. And then bang, we're into May. 20th of May, the Paris Major, and I will be going to the Paris Major, which since the boycott is now over, so pretty excited about that.
I would be pretty excited about that as well. I wish I could go. I wish I had that kind of money to fly 12,000 kilometers and watch some Rocket League. But good to you. If there's space in your bag, please pack me. But the one thing I'm looking at on the slide that we've got up now, and it's not lost on me, is that all of the professional Rocket League is going to be played in the first 4 months of the year.
Yeah.
So then, what are we doing for the next 8, Greybeard?
Okay, well, there's a few things, and not everything is on this calendar, and I'll talk a bit more about that because we're still waiting on some announcements. But moving on to June, July, and August, I think we can put those all up on the screen because in June the qualifiers for the VS Championships will begin, and those will go on through June, July, and August. And then also in July is going to be ACGL's the African Gaming Championship,
AGC.
I think. AGC, yeah, the AGC LAN. That has been held for the last 2 years in Cape Town, and it will be again as far as I know. So there'll be qualifiers leading up to that. So that's a LAN in Cape Town alongside the VS qualifiers. And then in August, we have the Esport World Cup. And Bromeo, I've just put there RSC Season 5. There or thereabouts, Season 5 of RSC is set to begin.
Oh, well, that's news to me. We've got to hit the ground running on that one because it feels like we've just finished RSC and now we need to plan the next one. And I'm not complaining. I love it. And I'm really excited to see which orgs are going to represent. There's a couple of changes we're going to make because unlike our European counterparts, we haven't found that fine balance of what the region actually wants out of a local tournament. So there is still a lot of tinkering to be done, a lot of fun to be had, and a lot of work still to do in setting that up for you. So yes, it might follow the traditional pattern of coming to you. Look, signups will probably open about June-ish, but if we're following the same calendar, league play will begin sometime in August. So
August-ish
right now, but it could come sooner. You never know. Looking at how the calendar is laying up right now, this is actually the first time I'm looking at it as well. So now that Greybeard has done the work and put everything in front of us to have a look at, it does mean that we've got a lot of time to play with, and so there could be some fun stuff that we get up to. But yeah, August-ish.
And I want to jump in and say one thing about this calendar before we move to the final third of it, which is that July will host the 1v1 and 2v2 opens for RLCS. So that's an important addition to make once you get to it. It's really exciting because 1v1 was a part of last season, but 2v2 is a new addition to RLCS 2026. And yeah, if you're a player or pro, don't forget about that, as that's the time to compete and get your team up there.
Pyro, that's a very solid point. Can you remind me of the days of the months? 2v2 is when?
So 1v1 and 2v2 are in July. And then do you have it listed there? No, the LCQ is going to be in August.
Okay, so just want to make that.
So I mean,
1v1 RLCS and 2v2 RLCS. Okay. All right,
so
good.
LCQs in August. They gave spots to only the 4 top regions, right?
And I think they're doing that again. From what I remember reading in the rule set, it's the same.
Okay, so hey, we haven't seen the major yet. We don't know. Okay, we don't know who the top 4 regions are going to be. But something to shoot for SSA. Absolutely, very difficult spot to fill. But yeah, LCQs in August if you want to fill that in as well. But just a couple mentions there for July and August.
And there's been no announcement about the Esport World Cup and what format it'll take and who will be selected, but we assume it's going to be similar to Worlds in terms of the top from each region will go. So we will at least have one SSA team there with actual SSA players this year, which will be magnificent. And then moving on to September, of course, it is the VS Gaming LAN finals at Comic-Con. That'll be at the end of September. Dates haven't been announced yet, but we assume end of September. And then RLCS Worlds, and then RSC Season 5 League Play will continue. So big international events in August, in September, and then October. Because, gents, the newly announced biannual, so every 2 years, Esport Nations Cup, and that will be held in October. So that's another national, and I don't know if it's going to be countries or if it's like more like a club tournament. So every country sends a club. I'm not sure of that format. If either of you have more information on that, I don't know. It's called a Nations Cup, so I'm assuming it's South Africa, USA, France, etc. This is my assumption. Myra's eating, so he's got nothing to say.
I also got nothing.
I got nothing. Fine. But either way, that is going to be held in Saudi. That'll be the inaugural event. And hopefully, and the idea with the Nations Cup is it's every 2 years and the host country will rotate. So it won't be, there's going to be Esport World Cup, Nations Cup, and FIFA E all in Saudi, which is frustrating, but at least we know the Nations Cup will rotate out. And that brings us to November. This hasn't been confirmed, but word is that the FIFA E Rocket League World Cup will be in November this year. And then also RSC Season 5 League Play and Playoffs will probably be happening in November. So that's 4 big international events in 4 consecutive months, which is pretty banger.
You know what I'm actually waiting for? Yeah, sorry, Pari, you go first.
Oh, are you sure? Okay. All I was going to say is this is a really helpful graphic. It still reminds me of the fact that I am upset that there are not 3 splits in RLCS. I can't stop thinking about it every single year that there have to be 3 splits. Teams are just coming into their own after the 6th Open. I will always feel like that. And there are stories that go untold because teams just don't have the length of time to stick together. Bromo, you made a great point. We started in December and we kind of end in April. You know what I mean? And it's like, really? So like 4 months, basically, maybe a little more of this professional play of these 6 Opens. And it's not enough. It's not enough. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to say it because, we're filling the gaps with, there's a major here and there's a Worlds there. We're doing the 1v1 and the 2v2. What about the core of RLCS? What about a full season? What about the 3 splits? It's frustrating because teams put so much effort, orgs put so much effort into creating, their team. And I just don't feel like we're utilizing the calendar in the best way. So one day we'll have 3 splits back. In my idealized mind.
If you look in the distance, you'll see a hill, and on that hill you will see Pyro dying.
that truly is the hill I'm willing to die
on. You were saying, Bromia.
I'm having a look at this content calendar for the year, and there are so many events happening, and I keep thinking of all of the other titles who have got like 1 event at most. That they look forward to on a thing. So I think that we are honestly spoiled in abundance with the amount of tournaments that we need to look forward to. And with a calendar as stacked as this, I'm looking forward to the day, because this is going to happen, that orgs have a B team that they enroll in separate tournaments because they simply do not have the capacity to play in every single tournament. And I think that's absolutely crazy, because is there so much commercial interest in Rocket League? The fact that every single month of the year there is a big cash tournament happening, a big one, and the fact that there are no stable orgs in South Africa looking at this and going, shit, I should be participating and thriving in a situation where, as a Rocket League player, you look at this and you look at the prizing. Anybody at the top of their game can make a comfortable living off the prize pools generated off each one of these things.
Dead right. Bringing us to December, because there's more to that point there, Bromeo. In December, there's nothing especially planned, but if it goes similar to this year, can we expect the 2027 season to start in December of 2026? Maybe that happens. And the one glaring omission from this calendar are the cash cups. There has been no announcement from Epic or Psyonix on cash cups for 2026. It is hoped that they will continue. And there has been a proposal, and Bromeo, I know you're aware of this, but Pyro, a couple of things around the cash cups. One, they haven't been announced, so we don't even know if they're happening in 2026. The assumption would be that they will continue. And then secondly, will there be region rules around the cash cups, similar to RLCS? There's been no announcement about that. So we await those announcements. But assuming that there will be cash cups, there is a proposal that a two-part proposal. One, the prize pool for cash cups is around $7,000, which in the South African, the SSA context is a huge amount of money every single month going into Rocket League. And I think utilizing the cash cups as a way to build the competitive player base will be... I think there's a way to better utilize that. And the proposal is this. Currently, the cash cups only pay to 8th place. Out of a $7,000 prize pool, it can be further distributed. There should be up to 16 places paid, which does a couple of things. It encourages more people to play. And it does, if the region rules don't change for it, it does discourage EU players from not all of them, but certainly some of them, and maybe even the local top players. I would like to see cash cups as the breeding ground for the bubble scene. So the one idea the proposal is to spread the prize pool a little, and the other is to make it a bit more of a big deal. Pyro, you've done streaming of cash cups. I've done streaming of cash cups, but I would like to see that formalized, where we actually make it a thing, and it becomes almost as big a deal as the RLCS broadcast. We have talent in, we make a thing of it and make it huge.
I have some thoughts about that. So the first thing I'll say is I refuse to even open my mind up to a world where we continue this this circus act of, hey, we have this cash ready to go for SSA, but anyone can play in it, up for grabs. No, it's not happening. It can't happen. They went through all the work to establish these rules for the RLCS. Why would it not extend to the Cash Cup? That will be happening in my mind. Secondly, I still think expanding the prizing for across further than the top 8 is a good thing, outside of the implications of it discouraging international appearances in the tournament. Because when I think about like Fortnite and when they started to open up these like cash tournaments and everything, that was a deep prize pool. That was something that even me and my friends were excited to be like, yo, all right, hey, let's play in this one. Let's see how far we can go. Maybe we can get some cash, right? And so I totally agree. It's that encouraging aspect of it for more than just those top teams to compete, because you can get some serious cash with that transition of currency. The final thought there for cash cups, making it something big, is that I think the idea for the cash cups was to give the players a chance to make it big themselves. Stream your games, get people to watch your content. Like it's that opportunity to bring power to the player rather than have this like, this is a formalized event of this month's Cash Cup. I would love that as a caster if we could formalize it and put like, you know, get an hourly rate on that event. Hey, you know, I'll be screaming about it. Let's go. But I think the focus was supposed to be for the players. So I'm not sure how you think about that in particular, Graybeard, or if we will get players to stream their games, you know?
I didn't consider that, and I think that's a very valid point. And maybe we do the stream of, like, we have a one day stream, like one evening where it's the top 4 or something, where we just bring it home, the 2 semifinals and the grand final or something. But yeah, I think that's a solid point. I mean, it's a little harder to do anything more than that. Top 8 at a push we could probably do on a single broadcast. keeping in mind that it is meant to be pretty rapid, so you don't want it going too late in the night or starting, because it's also not on weekend. So there's logistics to work out, but I think you make a rocking point in terms of players themselves building up, and I am gratified to see there are players making an effort. I know Marcy's doing a lot of streaming, also known as Willant. We've seen Devour, who's in chat right now. He's been got himself an actual face cam, which was very gratifying to see. So we're starting to see more of it. There's a long way to go, but we're starting to see things happen there. But that is what is currently missing from the calendar, is the cash cups, and I would be shocked if there aren't going to be cash cups, but we wait for those announcements, and hopefully that'll be banger. And there you go, a lot to look forward to, a lot of Rocket League going on, but I am now left pondering about that sort of that void in May, June, July, and to your point, Pyro, a third split could fit quite snugly there.
Wouldn't it?
So yeah, solid point, and yeah, and hope for, and I'm assuming it's got to do around, it's got to be a commercial viability. And I know Blast, well, we spoke a lot about it at the start of the 24 season. They were brought in last minute, and I think more and more the financial responsibility of RLCS has moved more and more toward them. So I think they've been working to build a commercial case for it. And if they succeed with that, I do think we see the return of a third of 3 splits in an RLCS season. But it also does make sense to wrap it up. I wouldn't even be opposed to wrapping up RLCS in August, end of August, with 3 splits, and then have the rest of the year for the Nations Cup and the FIFe and the Esport World Cup and all of those sorts of other events to take place there. But that's the 2026 landscape as we understand it right now. And that then brings us to the main topic, gents, because this Saturday, Open number 2 is underway. And as it stands right here, right now, the number of signups is look, the highest number of signups is always in the first regional of an RLCS season. That is how it has always been. The numbers are high, and then it kind of tapers off a little bit. We had 120 odd signups in Open number 1. As it stands right now, with less than 24 hours to go, 21 hours until registrations close, we have 63 teams signed up. So there is still time, and hopefully those numbers will grow rapidly. And what's of critical importance is that we get more than APAC. I don't know, that's a bit of an arbitrary line there. But we had 120 odd in Open 1, they had 77. As of earlier today, they were at 55, so they are very close to the SSA signups, and we want to make sure we're staying ahead there. Just to continue to show the interest in competitive Rocket League and RLCS in particular in SSA. And I feel like we're going to get into the rosters now. And I feel like I should start with an apology, because I did a post either on Friday or Saturday, a few days ago, on Twitter. And I said that the top 6 teams in SSA RLCS are unchanged, which I acknowledged in that tweet is a rarity for SSA. I'm not sure we've ever gone from one regional to another with the top 6 rosters staying as they were. But then looking at it deeper, it's actually a much better situation than that. In fact, we're almost at the top 12. Out of the top 12 teams, only 2 have made changes. There's a bit of a caveat there, which we'll get into, but the top of the scene has actually been pretty solid. There were just some very big and surprising changes that made it seem like it was all crazy and a whole bunch of chaos. So let's get into this. Now, we're going to go through in pretty much in ranking order. So from the top team down to the sort of, the top 10, top 12, and then it gets into the messy middle of any of these teams could make top 8 on the right day, and if they knuckle down. So gents, And chat, are we all ready to talk about rosters? RLCS SSA Open number 2. And we kick off at the very top with, of course, the number 1 team coming out of Open number 1, and that is KCP, the Kansas City Pioneers. Their roster unchanged, sweaty, to die for. Lewis P and Lawler, and I don't know if you guys caught it earlier today. Lewis P doing the Spain aeroplane South Africa emoji flag. He's on his way out to South Africa, to Cape Town, to be playing locally. So that makes them an even more formidable team.
I think that's going to be interesting. We saw the finals of the last split incredibly hard fought, and we had a full SSA team in that of FIFe. I say full SSA, they're international techers flying through and being local for that tournament. So I'm interested to see what happens in this second split now that Lewis P is local. Will that make a huge difference? I feel like the quality level of these players is so high that you're going to have to look pretty close to see it. Are we going to see a dominant Pioneers? Or have FIFe, put in enough work to, tackle them? I think that this is clearly, the team to watch for the season. They finished first for a reason, and the Sweaty and to die for Lewis P, absolutely incredible team. So I know Pyro's got his thoughts, but I think it's going to take some doing for any team to topple these guys this season. Although 5 years have looked really good.
Pyro, a dream finish here would be FIFe winning Open number 2, right? Because then it all comes down. It all comes down to the last.
Oh God, you got to forgive me, but I'm gonna make an NFL comparison. That's like saying you wanted the Steelers to lose against the Browns last week just so that you get Steelers versus Ravens. It was the last regular season matchup to see who wins the division. Basically, yeah, you want some mix up to happen so that the end of the split is great. There's something interesting about SSA. And it's that there's always one team that's the best. So if history continues to repeat itself, Pioneers will continue to win each and every Open, no matter how contested it is. The story for me for Pioneers and FIFe is the fact that I did take a very close look, like play by play of the grand finals. I have this whole script of a rundown. I just haven't made the video. There's a lot of mistakes. There's just a lot of players doing what they should not be doing. So the story for me is neither of these teams have reached their peak, like not even close. So it's about which team between FIFe and Pioneers can get closer to that and actually execute that on match day. But I'll agree with Bromeo. Pioneers are the team to beat. They were the team that was, lossless for until the semifinals of the Open, right? They didn't drop a single game, so they are the team to beat, and I'm excited to see them get closer to that peak.
Feeling a bit bad for Borky, who thought he could come and watch an SSA Rocket League podcast and not have to have the Ravens situation shoved in his face.
Let's go Steelers, baby. Pittsburgh, born and bred, black and gold all day. Okay, I'm done.
All right, sit down, Pyro. All right, moving on. Next roster is FIFe. Not much to say there because we know that the top six rosters have not changed. Guns, Tekos, Snowy, still no sub though, which is kind of interesting. And I think we've said all we can say about FIFe and Pioneers. We will talk more about it leading into main event on next week's podcast. And then that brings us next up, which is looking for organization who are, if they're failing at finding organization because their team remains unchanged, and so does their roster. Werty, Eli, Torres, coaches data lied, and then Ender is their sub, and I think he's pretty stoked about that. But he's on that's the sort of roster you're pretty pleased to be the sub, but never really want to be called into action.
Yeah, like that's a tough one. I mean, no disrespect to Ender, he's a good Rocket League player, but This is that kind of thing. It's like me getting called up for the Springboks. It's, it's an honor. It's a privilege. But do I actually want to be on the field? Hell no. So I think it might be honorary. I'm not sure if we'll see Ender hit the pitch. If we do, either he's been doing some off-season grinding that we are not privy to, and then I look forward to being proven wrong for putting disrespect on your name. Sorry, Ender. But I think LFO as a team, the fact that they've stayed together, the fact that they like him, Werdy is still tying it, alongside Torres, who is a really, really good player, I think that's an investment into the season. And I'm not sure if they found an org yet.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I don't think they'd announced it so early in, December, January. Kids haven't even arrived back from the coast yet. So I suppose we'll find out in due time. But this is definitely a team to watch to see if they can develop some, because there is quality through and through on this team.
They've definitely had interest from orgs, but I don't know what their requirements of orgs are that they haven't locked anyone down yet. But it does seem to be a bit of a slog. Moving on. Speaking of orgs,
say one thing about this team super quick. Sorry.
Yeah, go. Of course.
I want to give a shout out to Eliakim, because if anything, we put so much pressure on this dude. We said, well, you know, they could be good, but really just depends on if Eliakim can play. Is he actually going to show up? He showed up. He showed up, and he had maybe one of the best plays of the whole event. So kudos to the kid. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Great point. And then, speaking of looking for org, a roster that wasn't looking for an org but are now, but they are going now by the name of Bro Crows, formerly known as Cosmico. Cosmico is no more, and their main roster of Jeff, Stake, and Ravi are unchanged. Galaxy is no longer in the sub position. We'll talk more about Galaxy a little later on. But there we go, the Bro Crows, who are without org, unfortunately, a very sudden and calamitous end to Cosmico, but pleased that they're sticking together, even though the salaries have run dry.
Can we just, for 1 second, just have a public service announcement to players creating names for casters to say out loud? I don't want to say Bro Crows every time they score a goal.
You don't. How much did you pay this team to put your name in the team name, Romeo? Come on.
But, to be fair, we will talk about that later. But I think that Bro Crows is such a tough ass name to say when it's really, really hyped. It's like Mojo Jojo,
Bromeo, all I'm going to say is strap in, because of the new names, that's among the better ones. So, yeah.
Oh, boy.
All right, let's move on. So now we move out of the top four. We get into 6 and up. And the first of those, I think, is Death Cloud Esport. I think they're next. Yes, they are. T-Shout, Twinzer, and Tweaks. And they've brought on Flosi as their sub, which just based on his name, he should never have qualified for, because you got to start with a T, or at least have a T and a W in your name. T-Shout, Twinzer, Tweaks of Death Cloud. And I'm enjoying this roster more and more, and I just wish them more success.
Can I say this? So, like, Triple T, Death Cloud, they're the dark horse of the region. They did an Open 1 what everyone thought Synthesis would do in Open 1. And granted, they both made it top 6, right? They both did. But who actually showed up and brought a Game 7 on the docket for that lower quarterfinal? It was Death Cloud. They were a game away from top 4. They made a ruckus in the group stage as well. And they had some insane highlights as well. You can't forget about the Tweaks. I think Tweaks to T-Shao. Redirect combination across the court. I know T-Shao was the one to score it. I just don't remember who passed it. It was one of the guys that start with a T. Anyways, absolute dark horse. Love this team.
Yeah, and I completely agree as well.
And a rarity in that of the 4 players, this is a 4-nation squad. We have a Reunion, Germany, Namibia, and South Africa represented there, which is pretty cool. So shout out to Death Cloud Esport. Next up, Synthesis. You mentioned them, and here they are, Daps, Declan, Meshin. And you spoke, Pyro, about teams not reaching their potential. I don't know if I'm just being really overly patient, but I feel like this roster for like 2 seasons have not reached their potential. And speaking specifically of Daps and Declan.
I know that you handed this off to Pyro to discuss, but man, you've been talking about Daps and Declan for the longest.
I know!
You know, the most exciting players. Oh my gosh, this orc picking them up. Exciting. And, you know, they're good. They are good. And have they reached their potential? I don't know. But according to Greybeard, certainly not.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm running out of years here, man.
I think I don't know I feel like for this team, it's like, are they hot or are they cold? Because they really seem to fall flat sometimes, and it's a big disappointment. But you know what? They did what they set out to do, which was make top 6. And I'm curious, Greybeard. Like, yeah, what are your expectations moving into the split with this team?
You know what? I realize I'm actually being a little bit stupid here, because I had them pegged as an absolute guaranteed top 18. They made top 6. That is pretty good, but I don't know. My feeling, they should be able to break into top 4. Maybe not every time, but certainly on the relatively regular, whatever the hell that means. But they're top 6, so that's actually a great result, and I think better than they have done over the last 2 seasons. So shout out to them, but I think they can go further. You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything, eh? But I don't know. All right, that's Synthesis. And then we get into the first of the rosters with a change in the roster. But just a single change. It's not like a complete disbanding. It is just one player. And that is he going to... Oh, there we go. Team 10. Team 10. We spoke about them earlier just because they made top 8 and then didn't show up because they had other plans. So that made our broadcast very awkward. Tristan, Snoozy, and Kazudo, at least according to Kazudo, this roster are sticking together for the next regional. And and given the fact that they had other plans for the main event weekend, I mean, it says to me they were surprised to make it that far.
Yeah. It makes you question, like, did they show up or did other teams not show up, right? And so Open 2 may answer some of those questions, but we all knew Snoozy was capable, right? We just didn't know if he was playing this season. So now he's out there and they did what they did. I hope they clear all their weekends for the month of January.
Yeah. All right. So that's Team 10. Moving on to the next. Oh, so they stuck together. I said our first team that with a change. They're not making a change. It is our next team that is making a change. And that is, I'm just realizing I want to get this up here. That is the Punishers, and I was a bit concerned because I had heard that Kexi was leaving, and I didn't know if they were going to fall apart, and maybe Punishers being kind of new in the local scene, and they had a brief pickup. They picked up somebody else anyway, but they've now got Marmone with H as a sub. Marmone was with was it Yorpie? I think he was last Open. But a good pickup. So they've traded out their EU third, Marmone for Kexi, and I don't know if that's an up or down move for them. I mean, I just don't know enough about Marmone to make that call.
I think it'll be it'll be more of a it'll keep them in the same sort of, you know, bracket. I think Marmone's a great player. I think Golden Ninja Shadow Kexi had a barnstorming run, one that we didn't give them any credit for, to which we still owe them apologies for. So I think, you know, beyond just being dark horses like they have been, I would peg them for greater success this coming season. They proved in the split that it wasn't, you know, a one-off result. They did pretty damn well each and every time they entered the field. So Marmone, I think they've got their own expectations, and with them, you know, introducing Marmone to the team, I feel like that's a what's the word? A statement of intent on its own. I don't think they would have replaced for any less.
I
And
have
then
concerns because Marmon did not qualify top 16 with RAM and 5BS, which, in
yes.
my opinion, absolutely should have happened. To me, like player to player, this could be an improvement for Marmon, but with that, I don't know, with the stinky trail of a 17 to 32 result, and then, the YMC association.
Yeah.
Sorry, gotta say it. Have to always say it.
Yeah.
There's like this little stink kind of following Marmon right now. So it's going to be about him reestablishing himself in the SSA scene.
Six in chat seems to think it's a downgrade. So, well, we'll see. And then next up, we have our our second org change. One was Cosmico. The next, and I don't know if they're picking up another roster. I've heard nothing of that, and that is Ox Gaming. As on the signups now, I don't see Ox Gaming there. So they're now calling themselves New Dogs Old Tricks. No Technic Eagle, and that's Stratic, Lixer, and Zyro. Zyro comes in to replace Technic. And this is a team that should be a definite top 16, and at a push, depending on how other teams show up, a top 8. But if they go less than top 16, that's unlikely. Brony is like, no top 8 for this team.
No, I don't see these guys in the top 8. I'm sorry. It's just what it is what it is. I'm also more surprised the fact that a team would rather go orgless than
I just don't know what happened. I haven't heard anything from Ox on if they made a call to not, or I know Chrome had issues. SSA players are weird with orgs, but yes.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and that's disappointing to say the least, because if Ox doesn't pick up another, then that's just another org lost to the scene. And if it was over money, then that'll make me sadder. So I hope it wasn't. I hope it was just simply they're picking up a different org. But that said, I am sad to see Ox exit out of a squad. So I also think that Stratic, Lixer, Zyro is going to bring the same sort of results that they could have expected, with Technic.
And that then brings us to another unchanged roster. And talking about new dogs and old dogs, Unity. Unity will be staying as are Lackstar, Skulk G, Friction, Sponsor Bobas as sub. And they're a fan favorite team, and hopefully they can make a big push, make it into a top 8. But certainly they'll have a lot of fans along the way, whatever they do. So good to see that they're sticking together. And for me, this is a team that are literally, they're a vibes team, and vibes can take you surprisingly far sometimes.
They're also like downright competitors. Like we know ages of RLCS SSA where Lackstar and Friction were like gunning for top 6s, right? Top 8s. And they're doing it again here. Their run to get to top 8 this last open was having to play Pioneers than Death Cloud. And, they got swept by both, but that was after beating Hosky. So tough road. Maybe they get a little bit of a better draw next time, and we'll see how they do.
Alrighty, well, that is they. And then after Unity, next up is Nkandla Style. And great to see that roster, the roster of Nkandla Style, making a top 8 or staying the same. They have Bumblebee has makes way in the sub slot. They haven't replaced their sub. I don't know why that is. Doesn't really matter. But Com, Dalton, and Peanuts, I loved what they did in Open number 1, and I hope they can approximate that in Open number 2.
I agree. I think
who's related to Eli?
Dalton.
Dalton, Eli's brother.
Okay, cool.
You got the team. You were there. You were close. Good man. I think in Nkandla, they picked up a top 16. They were another team that we didn't give any respect to. And so I'm hoping for more of the same. That they proved that it wasn't a fluke, that they made top 16, they were good enough, and that they stay up, because there were a couple of notable names that didn't make it to top 16. So it's not through a dearth of talent that top 16 now exists. And that's something that's really exciting for me for 2026, is that when we're doing power rankings, which we're going to be doing next week. So Pyro, that's going to go out to you as well. We're going to do a preseason power ranking as they head into the second split. It's not even preseason anymore. It's just a pre-2 split.
Yeah.
And I just want to see where everybody still thinks of these teams. Like Spanish Pop and Vorst didn't get much love. This team at all in Kanda didn't get any love. And we were sort of there and thereabouts with the top 8s. But it's from like 9 to 16 where it really blew it out the water, where we weren't even close. So I think that's going to be, for me, where we see some growth. Like you said, Greybeard, there hasn't been much change, if at all, in the top 8. And I think that's a bloody fantastic thing. For the first time, teams are just sticking together because it's mutually beneficial, and they're realizing that. And also big ups to Synthesis and orgs like that who are coming in, backing their team and sticking around.
Yeah.
I feel like this org culture is only going to change once we've got some standing in the scene from the orgs that currently exist. So that's my first point. But the second point is that there are so many teams, especially in Kandla Styles, who we didn't give the time of day. And I hope, and this is for me, this is for the growth. These are for the people that we haven't seen much of. We see week in, week out, the Sweaties, the To Die Fours, the Snowies, the Guns, all of those players who, they're at the top. But because we're so busy focusing on those players, it's very difficult to notice the rise if you're not paying attention. So my New Year's resolution is going to be paying a lot more attention to your 9 to 16, because that's where the real improvements are happening.
And then just to answer AJ in chat, Jordan was the new sub for Inclunder Style, but he now is on his own team. So he and 2 others have made their own team. So which is why he came off the bench for Inclunder Style. And then CJ, hello and welcome. Thank you for the follow. Good to have you. And then then we get into the more messy arena. Next up is White Rabbit Gaming. And don't be fooled by what you see up on the screen as White Rabbit comes up, because White Rabbit moved out 6 and moved out Banana Cat, and then brought Applesauce from Coach Sub into the main roster, and then brought on Chunkler. And this is the roster they signed up for. But that's all changed. If you go and check start.gg, they're now listed as an incomplete team. And by what I'm hearing is that 6 and Banana Cat will make a return, which ultimately will mean they're an unchanged roster. But it's all a little confusing.
I just miss Wee Casper, Banana Cat, and Galaxy. That team, surprised me so much in the preseason. I was so high up on them, and then Galaxy's like, I could be a substitute instead. Yeah, it's like, oh my god, are we serious?
What?
I'm gonna just be sitting on my front porch in my little rocking chair, waiting to see what actually happens with this team.
Well, 6 has confirmed in chat that it's the roster is indeed going to be Wee Casper, 6, and Banana Cat. So Chunkler made a brief appearance and is no more on White Rabbit. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. So that's White Rabbit. And then next up is Astronic, probably among the big disappointments for Open number 1 in terms of how they performed, and what you'd have been alluding to earlier, Pyro. Astronic, in my mind, certainly guilty of not bringing the A game in Open number 1, and they have dropped Onizuma and have brought on Inspire.
I have a comment about skill steal and Astronic in general. When I look at skill steal in this region, I see him as a what do they call it? They like adopt shelter animals, and they bring them into their own, and then he gives them away. They've matured, they've grown, they're ready to find their forever home. And Skill, you don't have to be the one that adopts them. You can be their forever home, and you can go and see your greatest expectations. So like, you know, he did that with Ravi and Devour, and then he has Devour and then he has Onizuma. And it's like, this is a chance for him to like get those expectations a little bit higher. We're all big on Inspire. I know that, right? On the last season, performed so well on SSA despite the high ping. And obviously Devour is a great player, came into their own last season, has proven that again at the beginning of this season. This is an obvious upgrade, no slight to Onizuma, and it completely redefines what this team can achieve.
I agree. Sorry, Gary, but I know you're wanting to jump in there with a quip because, wow, a shelter animal reference. Honestly, I love that. I would have gone more for like, you know, Sensei, wax on, wax off, running up some steps, carrying buckets of water, you know, that sort of stuff, you know, and then seeing your student go out and defeat people in, you know, all the karate action that could be required of a film. But I do agree with you that Skill Steel has been the mentor for such a long time. And to see that now this team is evolving into staunch competitors, you know, not to say that they didn't last season because they were one of the few who took down Limitless. So I think that the team now, including Inspire, and Inspire's one of been, you know, has easily been one of my favorite players for a while now, coming from Europe. I think they're a very good ad. I feel like it's going to be a good culture fit, and I'm really excited to see what these boys can do.
The next team with a disappointing performance in Open number 1, and they've kind of, it's been a bit of chaos now, is Rounds. We all thought they would do better. I believe every one of us had them pegged as a top 8 in Open number 1. And then Wilu left, and then 3 days ago, or like sort of almost out of the blue, Cam left, kind of leaving Renshiro a little bit stranded. And Rounds is an org, which I think are a very good org, and that frustrated me a little bit. But they've now picked up Onizuma, who's off of Ostronic, and Onizuma surprised me. I thought he performed a lot better than I had been expecting out of him. I think he's got great potential, and so he's been picked up by Rounds alongside Marcy, also the Rocket League player formerly known as Willant, now Marcy, and then Grosloop as coach. I know nothing about him, but suddenly I go, for me, a bit of one of those wait and see rosters, because potential, but we got to see them out on the pitch.
I'll be the first one to step into this one. I think Rounds has reevaluated their involvement and have decided to take a little bit of a step back, a little bit more circumspect. And no offense to Willant, Rocket League player formerly known as Willant, Marcy, or Onizuma, but I do think this is a downgrade. I think Rounds could, you know, could do better with the team that they had, but, you know, play the hands that you were dealt. So I think Rounds has leveled their expectations and are now... what I see from this team is I see this as a, let's just get somebody onto the pitch for the next split, and then we'll make some decisions afterwards. That for me is what I see from this. Either that, or they turning into a development squad,
or they come out there and they surprise everybody, which
that too.
The eternal optimist in me leans in that direction. The problem, though, is that you can't be that you can't believe every team's going to make top 8 because there are only 8 spots. So but I'm very pleased that I think this was the sort of circumstance where you're dealing with players who are like, oh yeah, we had a shit result. See ya, peace, I'm out of here. It's the sort of circumstance where an org can go, you know what, we don't need this bullshit headache. So the fact that they've stuck around, and I do think Renshiro has got a lot to do with that in terms of him staying in the region and sticking with it and keeping the org here. So I'm very pleased that they do have a roster, and your comments are not without merit, Bromeo, but pleased that they're still here. And next up, is this is a bit of a disaster for me. I'm very disappointed with what's happened here, and that's Team HSK. After open number 1, Zany decided that he was not happy and he left, and that then ultimately resulted in, I think they were scrambling around looking for a third to replace Zany, but I think eventually gave up. And what that means is that Team HSK are going to not be present for open number 2, but are looking to have a roster and field that roster in open number 3.
Yeah, it's upsetting. We'll never know the internal workings of every single team or why they leave. But yeah, Greybeard, I know you're a huge proponent in sticking together and seeing what you can achieve throughout the season, because the truth is the season is so short. And that's why we saw decisions made by rounds there. It's kind of, you saw the first open. Where are you going to go? Make a decision now, because this is the time, right? And I guess if there's a time to jump ship, this is it. But do you have Bigfoot's team later on in this presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll wait to talk about that. But yeah, unfortunate for Husky.
Okay, so where does that bring us now? Okay, so now we have the teams. Now there's a few teams that are no more in any way, shape, or form, and the first of those is Spanish Pappenvors, a crazy name, but one of the better ones. That was Zyro, Nitro, Chunkler. They are done. They are done and dusted. So no more Spanish Pappenvors. So not much to be said about that. And then we move on to the first of our brand new teams, brand new rosters. And I don't know how to say this because my French is very poor, but I think it's Les Réunionnais. Les Réunionnais. How would you say that, Bromeo? And I know it hasn't come up on screen yet, so it's going to be really hard to read it when it's not up, but it's gonna pop up there in a second as soon as raids find us. There we go. Rock and roll. How would you say that, Bromeo?
Why would you put me in this position?
because I'm hoping your French is better than mine.
So I would say Le Réunionnais.
Le Réunionnais.
But that's only because I took varsity French, because the French lecturer was blindingly hot. Her name was Aurélie, and 2008 was a fantastic year. But that's neither here nor there. We're having a look at Halouist. Is that how you say his name?
Halouist, yeah. Halouist, he's a French player, but with Reunion roots. He's got a parent who's Reunion. So I'm not even sure he's a non-SSA player.
No. I saw the tweet that he was flying from France to Reunion. So I was like, okay, well, that's bolstering. And you see Wilu coming back and, a full Reunion team. I think that a French team succeeding, this is a very good shot at it. I can't think of a better team possibly to put together. So, interesting squad. I didn't see this one coming.
An all Reunion team, which is amazing, and with potential there, and the fact that Halouist is flying out, and I don't know too much about him, but I think he's a serious player.
This might have the greatest range of expectation for me. Like, they could do really well and they could also do really bad, because I just don't know anything about this third player. But to me, last season, I want to talk about Eagle, because I think him getting that top 8 debut, and I'll never forget him having his camera on and getting stoked for every goal. Like, he came into his own last season. So I want him to have like a real shot. And I don't know, this Reunion Island team seems like the right spot. I'm excited.
And 5BS, he was listed as the sub for, my God, I just
every
changed this.
Team imaginable.
No. He was signed as
he played with Ram and Marmon.
No. For this regional open number 2, he was listed as the sub for, and I've gone completely blank. But he's now the sub for this team. So there we go. Six in chat says that Halouist is a top player, and the fact that he's going to be local is that unknown. Pyro does. this could be very, very interesting. But the fact that there are so many people flying out and going to be playing local is changing the dynamic of things. And then the next of our interesting names and a new roster is this one, which is I'm a piano. What a name.
What?
I don't even know what that means, but I'm a piano is kicking. Oh, I know exactly what. Oh no,
I'm so glad that you do, because it is a musical genre. It is a type of music that is indicative and local to South Africa.
Oh, is it? Oh, that I didn't even know. I mean,
can you educate me? I am asking very nicely. What
just
kind of music?
It's I can't really describe it because I'm not a huge fan, but Amapiano is, yeah, it's just a genre of music. It's
Okay,
very.
I'll take a look myself. That's fine.
Yeah,
Cool.
just Google it and give it a go.
Now, keep in mind that the presence of nitro makes me think this. A piano, being an instrument with black and white keys on it, is a clue, part of the clue here. Because keep in mind, nitro was with Stratic and Duklas, and they called themselves the reverse Oreo. Because Nitro is not white and his two teammates were. Then they were just Oreo because it was two colorful characters and a white one. So I think that might. I think this is Nitro's influence. I'm just spitballing here, but it may have something to do with that. Who on earth knows? But yeah, I'm a piano. And then next up, a terrible name, because I know they're going to land it. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a small comment about the team themselves. So, like, Wilu and Cam splitting. Okay, where are they going to go? Because these are highly influential players within the scene. And Cam teaming up with Nitro is really interesting to me, because with this new age of SSA, it's about the duos. It's about the local duos, right? And Nitro and Zyro were duos for a long time. So that being the split, Spanish Pop and War splitting, is a huge mark, I think, for Nitro, elevating his status within the teams of SSA. Kexi has proven that there's potential. So I'm excited to see where this team is going to go.
Good point, and thanks for bringing that up, because I was all about the team name and not the players themselves. And I hope Cam's is kind of giving me vibes that he's sort of almost moved a little bit to the periphery of things, and I don't know how committed he is to pushing the RLCS envelope, but I hope he pushes it, and pushes it hard with this team. I know Kexi was in chat earlier. Maybe he can shed some light on that. So that's Amapiano. The next of our what worries me about the next team and their name is it's the kind of name that's going to land up sticking, which is kind of irritating because they don't come up with something better, and that is a placeholder for now. And I don't even have the complete name in there because I couldn't be bothered. But that's Mercury, Bigfoot, and Berachu.
I already know what happened. Someone said, "What are we gonna name our team?" And the manager, or the coach, or someone was saying, "Just use a placeholder for now," or something. And they're like, "Oh, really?" And typed it, and here we are. Oh dear.
Yeah.
This is what you name your team when you sign up for a Psionics like Rocket League tournament, It's like, it's a funny joke, but now it's RLCS.
Yes.
Honestly, every single one of these teams that comes up with a cuck name, I will give you my banking details, because you now have to pay me to say your name, because it is that bad. Because honestly, as a caster, there is nothing worse than a placeholder scores.
Yeah. A placeholder for now scores. Well, let's talk about the team. Mercury, Bigfoot, Berachu. Berachu, he has some history here. Bigfoot coming from HSK. Bigfoot he's been around. He was around in the first season of RLCS for SSA, but been on the periphery, never really pushed through to the big leagues. Mercury floating just sort of mid bubble scene, whatever bubble scene we have in SSA. He needs to make that jump up, and I don't know. I mean, you asked about Bigfoot's new team earlier, Pyrus. I don't know if you've got a comment here.
I guess it's the I think back to my like top 10 plays of SSA and the fact that Byrachu was like all over the place on those. Like he is a playmaker. You give him the ball, he's gonna pop off. Bigfoot like exceeded our expectations. Mercury, how does he fit in? I guess we'll see. Those are my general thoughts on this team, but it's really hard to like make sense of a team until you see them out there because
Absolutely.
yeah, and I guess that is all I have to say about this team.
Alrighty, someone started there was a hype train going, so people have subbed. I know Six subbed, Stone subbed, Yo Scrap subbed. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciated very, very much. And all right, so our next team is all kinds of chaos. They formerly known as Bingo at the Unction, which for a long time I thought was Bingo at the Unicorn. Now called Midwest Mafia, but no Mojito, no Specs, and Olympic and Drew, joined by Jerome, Moment, and Payne. And the biggest question mark for me is, why is Jerome on this team? Jerome has potential. Jerome should not be on this team. I don't know. I'm a little bit flummoxed here.
I feel like you're getting emotionally invested in players who are not emotionally invested, and
Fair.
I think that this team it's a cool team, and I feel like it just gives off Digital Devils vibes. Oh wait, what was that team? And not Digital Devils. The
Espionage.
Espionage, the team everybody went to and they didn't have a team.
Oh.
Espionage. This is a team Espionage. They are team Espionage in everything but name.
Yeah, well, and they're a maybe top 16 team at best, I think. But we shall see as we go forward. And then next up is Brainstorm Battalion. Zany, Galaxy, and Star. Zany and Star teamed up last season, and then Galaxy getting into a main roster position. And word on the street is that they have locked in an org, which will maybe announced in the next couple of days or so. But Zany, Galaxy, Star.
Brainstorm just reminds me of one of my favorite Jokers in Balatro, so I am excited for only that reason. But I guess also because Zany and Galaxy have improved so much in the last couple of years. Star's already proven that he can perform on high ping, so let's see.
Let's see. Yeah, well, we're now into the let's see rosters. The
only thing I've got to add is well done for coming up with an actual name. I will have fun saying Brainstorm Battalion.
Yes. And then next up, I love this pickup. The CDV Wolves picked up by Chrome Esports. I think that is so damn cool. High school champion Seth, your boy Kieran, Evident Cable, now I'm flying under the banner of Chrome Esports, which I shout out to Stones. Great pickup here, and I hope they do well. They got into top 16, which was fabulous to see. I think it's going to be a bit more competitive. They did have favorable runs or favorable results, and other things happened that sort of made their run into top 16 fractionally easier, but shout out to them. And I hope they can do it again. But what I've enjoyed, I've mentioned it a few times, is the huge parental support for these kids to go the distance or go as far as they possibly can in competitive Rocket League.
I think this needs to be said because they're essentially the tester case. They are the first ones through the door when it comes to high school teams becoming a fully fledged RLCS roster. The same high school team representing an org in RLCS. And I feel like the longer they stay together, the better case they make for the rest of the high school scene to say, well, we as a team, we can do well, in whatever local tournaments, high school tournaments, Curro Lands, whatever. But at the same time, we can make some bucks. We can get a name for ourselves, and we can firmly place, some feelers out for, later in our career when we're no longer a team. But making the most out of the sheer amount of time that you spend together at school level, because I feel like as a team, you're guaranteed to be together for a full calendar year at school. And I think that that is one of the most underrated buffs that you can give a team. So the fact that CDV are giving it a go, and like you said, Greybeard, with the support of their parents, I feel like this is like one of those watershed moments that we'll look back in a little bit of time and think that's where it sort of changed. That's where, we started to see the more, the greater introduction of high school teams into this. So I love what they're doing. I hope they keep it up.
All right. Well, Chrome did have a different roster in open number 1, and then things kind of fell apart there. So the team formerly known as Chrome are our next team with a sensational name, and I've shortened it there. Their full name is 2 Europe 1 SSA, or one, I don't know, it's longer than that. And I've already written to Scraff and said, please, for the love of God, come up with a decent name that I can say on stream.
Sorry, Scruffy was in chat. So just wait for our name. It's going to be great. I was actually hopeful.
Yeah, and you shouldn't have been. So it's kind of a joke because Scraff is South African, but he has EU roots. And given the 2/3 rule, they thought it'd be funny to be 2 EU, 1 SSA. But the roster itself, Jerome has moved off to the former Unction Boys, and they have replaced him with Jan. Jan is an EU player of whom I know nothing. But they will be going with him, with Coach Asterix, who has pretty much been with Scraffy and Max for, I think, like a season and a half now, for some time. And they had their best result in open number 1, making top 32, falling short of top 16. And I'm kind of looking at them to move into that next level of top 16 this coming open.
Be exciting to see like how those how the whole first split goes for this team. They seem really keen to establish themselves as a contender for that top 16. So they've got a couple opens to keep chipping away at it.
And then a name we've known since the full EU invasion days, and now in the 2/3 days, Cristobal Colon, Pingu, who's kind of, that's his brand name. Pingu Zeph, and I think we say that as Smashy, and Zaysan. Now, I'm a bit confused by this because there are 4 names there, and 2 of them are EU. So I'm confused now as to how that works, because that means they're a non-qualifying roster as they stand now, having dropped Mercury. But Zeph I know, Pingu I know, Smashy and Zaysan I know absolutely nothing. So it's difficult, and I'm sure the same for you, gents, to make any comment on this roster, even if they're a qualifying roster.
I will say nothing.
You will
Accurate
say nothing.
As ever, Greybeard.
That's fair enough. And then the big mystery team. They were a team that nobody knew anything about, and for a while we thought they may be sort of Smurf EU players. That turned out to not be the case, and they returned for open number 2, but without their nom de plumes, under their real in-game names, that formerly known as Project Zero. They've now got a really silly name that I didn't even bother putting up, because it's Are We Regging or Are We Reggie? I don't know. It was so dumb, I just crossed out Project Zero. They're flying under another name, and that is Lorax, KV, and Olam, playing in open number 1 as Dusk, Dawn, and Moon. And so that was Lorax, KV, and Olam. Very good team, and was surprised they didn't make top 16, but expect, they certainly have the capability of doing so this time around.
I think so, now that they've dropped all of the pretense of a disguise. And here's a little bit of English for you, Greybeard. Like nom de plume, right? That's if you're a writer and you want to write under a different name. That's a nom de plume. But these guys are not writers. If they are fighters, it is called a nom de guerre. And a nom de guerre, like Rambo, you know?
Excellent.
Rambo wasn't his real name. Anyway, so yeah, now you know.
Don't ruin my childhood now, really? Okay, a nom de guerre. That's amazing. Okay, good. Well, thank you very much for that. And then we just have two more rosters to go through, and they're rosters that have disbanded, no longer exist. The first of those is Yoppie, 5BS, Ram, and Marmone. Marmone has moved to Punishers. 5BS is the sub for Les Reunions, and Ram is not playing, I don't think, or might sign up with friends. So the return of Ram was brief and disappointing. And then the next and last roster that no longer exists is Le Bosch. Le Bosch, Eagle, Willant, and Inspire. Of course, Eagle is now with Les Reuniones or whatever, and Willant or Marcy is now with Rounds, and Inspire, of course, with Astronic. And that does leave a few names in the wind. Names that we don't know what's happening with them because they are, as of now, not signed up. There is all of tomorrow up until 5 o'clock, so we may still see these guys. Rubix, Dilly, Blade, Breezy, Technic, Eagle, Heatsy, Duklas, Ram, and Potato. We don't know where they are. As far as I know, Technic is not going to be playing. Duklas is not planning to play. Those are the two players I know who aren't planning. Oh, and Ram. But the others, I don't know if they're going to pick up rosters or not.
These are there's a whole bunch of players that sort of make sense here that if they're not in a team, Rubik's, being so much Akimbo Esports, and
Yes.
if I don't see Akimbo, then we're not going to see Rubik's. So I hope Rubik's picks somebody up. Breezy, I'm surprised because he's always such a solid contender. It's probably just because he's still on holiday, and there's so many. This is such a rough time of the year to play an open because school only opens in like over a week's time from now,
And I don't even think everyone's back yet. I
no,
mean,
but that's what I'm trying to say. Everybody's still
exactly.
at the coast. So it's a really rough time to say to your parents, hey, can we take our home PC all the way to Margate because sometime just before we need to come back, I want to play a video game tournament. So it's very difficult to justify. So I'm pretty sure some of these teams are going to stay in a bit of a state of flux because there's no ways that we can expect kids to get back from their December holidays and then play a serious tournament of Rocket League.
All right. Well, I was laughing because since the podcast started, Breezy, Blade, and Heatsy have all signed up under their previous name of from the last Open, which is Project Andromeda. So yeah, we can take those guys out of the in the wind category they are in. And gents, that's our look through the rosters. And I will say it again that I am actually. Despite what happened with HSK, despite what happened with Rounds, by and large, this for me has been the most stable transition from one regional to the next that we've had overall, Pyro.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well. I mean, yeah, there was a little bit of shakeup, and then when I see that in the wind graphic, I'm like, okay, I guess people kind of landed. They found their spot, but this new age of RLCS SSA with sort of having a forced structure of two locals and one import, which a lot of people have embraced, I think has further solidified these teams to say, okay, you made this commitment, now stick with it. And I don't know. I have some thoughts about Open 1 being so far away from Open 2 and Open 3 at the season. I think that really impacted the signups of Open number 2, not having that consistency. It does obviously give teams and organizations more time to rebrand themselves and fix maybe some potholes that were exposed in the first Open. But you're right, Graybeard. Yeah, it did kind of solidify still, even with that big gap. So excited to see teams build onto that now a newly made foundation.
Well, it all happens this weekend, and a couple of things to mention in closing. The first is in my own personal Rocket League journey, I've decided that I only want to play ranked in high ranked lobbies. So I'm looking for anyone who is mid GC1 to mid GC2 who doesn't mind teaming up with me and is not too precious about their MMR to get me in ranked in their sort of high GC lobbies. So if you fit that, Max has been helping me with that. Tabusi's been helping me with that. If there are others, I would love to team up with you. So please DM me. And then Raku has started a YouTube channel, which is SSA Highlights. It is absolutely something that's been missing, a channel which highlights the like SSA competitive play. His first two videos were from the FIFE, the 2 days that South Africa was involved with FIFE. I'm going to quickly put the link to his YouTube channel in chat. And
yeah, that's perfect. I was going to say, do that so I can drop a sub. That's great.
Absolutely. There it is. There it should pop up. There it is. So go and follow that YouTube channel. I'm sure with all the games from RLCS will be making their way onto that channel. And we absolutely sort of need a dedicated place to archive the journey of SSA Rocket League. So shout out to Raku for starting that channel, getting it going. So go and give him a lot of support. Go and follow now. And that kind of brings us to the end. This weekend is qualifiers. POV streams are allowed and don't require any kind of approval. Stream your games if you are in the qualifier this coming weekend. I will be doing a watch party on Saturday for the double elimination phase, and then again on Sunday for the Swiss stage to determine the top 16. So that's what's coming up this weekend. And then, guys, from now until the end of January, it is wall-to-wall RLCS. Next Monday, of course, we will bring the main event teams, who's made top 16, and give our power rankings for who we see going all the way. But thank you to everybody who stopped by the stream today to follow and to chat, to get involved. We had a whole bunch of subs, so thank you very much. You'll see them coming up on the end credits there. Pyro, Bromeo, any final words before we wrap this up?
Me, I got nothing. I'm just happy to be back in the seat for another year of Rocket League. There's so much stuff coming our way and so much to look forward to. So yeah, we highlighted a bunch of stuff, but there's still going to be a bunch more, as there inevitably is, and I can't wait to bring it to you.
I'm going to self-promo because you did too great, Beard. If pros want to do more show matches, which Devour's already reached out, other people are reaching out, let me know. Let me know. Tell me in DMs and Twitter DMs, whatever you want. We can get those back up and running. We did a bunch in the preseason. Might do some 3v3, maybe even some 2v2. I don't know, but some midweek action can't hurt. So hit me up.
All right. Well, there you have it. The first podcast of 2026 is now done and dusted. Pyro, thanks for